But sincerely, from my wife Lynn and Jeanette and myself, we really appreciate you here tonight and celebrate this special occasion with the two kids, and we just want you to have a really good time. There's also some people I want to thank really quickly that are not here tonight, that played a big part in Stacey's life. My mum and dad, Stacey's grandma and grandpa, played a huge part in her life when she was a little kid, and I know they'd be very proud of her tonight. I know my dad, Stacey's grandpa, would love nothing better than to be sitting down in front of the TV drinking beer and watching the Cats with Paul, but I won't do it. I'm a Bulldog supporter. And I know if her grandmother was here, we'd all be sitting in the middle there on a rug, eating peanut butter and lettuce sandwiches, because that's what she fed him every time we went over there. Stacey's other grandmother from the Philippines, my mother-in-law, you know, straight away my first thought of Stacey, when I thought of Lowell, was the first thing Stacey she would have said was, Stacey, so you're getting married. Who is your companion? But Stacey grew up with Lynn's mum, and she was very, very special to Stacey. She made Stacey feel safe. Didn't matter what was wrong, Stacey would always go to her Lola. One other person that's not here tonight and really needs to be acknowledged is my little sister Laura, who's having who's battling a motor neuron disease at the moment. She was determined to get here. It was a long way for her and she couldn't make the trip, and we understand that. Her kids are here tonight and we thank you so much for coming. She's an amazing sister, and I suppose I'm a pretty crap brother because I don't see her as much as I should, but she's the strong one in our family. She's the one that everybody goes to for you know, things that they need, and so I just really want to acknowledge her because she's a terrific sister. And I hope you got your glasses full because we're going to do a couple of toasts during the course of this speech. All right, we're going to move on. Paul. Paulie. What can I say about Paul? Well,
you love him.
I do. But more than that, Paul, when we first met, you're a testament to your mother. All right, mate, you are sincerely a testament to your mum, and what a great job she did raising you kids, and you know, coming all that way to be with you tonight. She's a fantastic lady. She taught you to be respectful, honest, caring, cooking, cleaning, washing. I love this guy. But first toast tonight, and we'll make it real quick one, but I'd like to toast Jeanette for raising the only son and the human in this planet that is good enough for my daughter. So, Jeanette. All right. Okay, you drink me. Paul's a classy guy, and I knew that after he rang me from Perth to ask for my blessing to marry Stace, and that one simple thing meant a lot to me. They were going to do it anyway, but he made me feel like I was part of it, which was pretty cool. And he took the time to make sure that I had a say in it, like I said, even though they knew they were going to do it anyway. But you know, that's pretty classy in this day and age. It doesn't happen a lot. And you know, I thank you for including me, even though I wasn't really included. The kids decided to move back home to Victoria from the west after Indy was born, so they could be closer to us. And the truth is, once Paul met me, he really wanted to be part of his family. And it was a big step for Paul because he didn't know anybody or very few people, and he had to leave all his friends and his work, and you know, it was a pretty tough thing for him to do. But he always put Stacey first, and that's what I love about this kid. And they moved across the other side of Australia, and you know, again, this guy's just oozed class. It wasn't all that bad for Paul though, because he had a new golf partner. He knew he could beat me whenever he wanted to. And then before we move on, real quick, Paul doesn't claim to be. He says he's not competitive, and that's really, really wrong. Because when we play golf or watch football or whatever, again, he's always very respectful, but he is competitive. Very, very competitive.
I'm really chilled out when I watch the Cats.
Anyone who has had the experience of going to any sports event with Paul knows it's going to be loud and competitive, and especially when it's his mighty Cats, he just freaks out. I've never seen a British bloke go crazy about a football game. And I'm sure at some stage Stacey said to him, "Well, you know, can you let Dad win at golf just once?" And I'm going to tell you now, he'd give you up before he'd let me win. I'm telling you. And secondly, there's no possible way he could play that badly and make me believe that he was actually doing it. But that's okay, whether I'm losing or he's smashing me or whatever, I just really enjoy our Sunday games together. I think they're awesome. They're a lot of fun. And, where was I? I'm just so excited about Paulie. Oh yeah, okay. I'm getting serious. The thing that's important to me, and I'm sorry, I'm not looking at you, I'm reading this because I wrote it so I could see it and they turned the lights down. The thing that eases my mind is the way that he treats Stacey and the way that he looks at her, because I know that look, because I look the same way to her mother, and we've been married 40 years and it hasn't changed. I know how much you care for her, mate. I know how kind you are to her and how well you treat her, even when you think I'm not looking. And believe me, there were times you didn't know I was looking, but I was looking. But I know deep in my heart that you'll always treat her well, and it's not because you don't want to get up on the porch with the big dog. Okay? But see that beautiful mama bear over there? Yeah, you don't want to go there, brother. No, I'm telling you, you don't want to go there. But Paul, I think you know, but I'm going to say it anyway. Look, if Stacey asked me, Dad, you know, there's so many guys out there and I just can't pick one, can you go and find me the right guy? And, you know, he's got to be this and he's got to be... It'd be you. Without a doubt. Without a doubt. You're the perfect, to me, you're the perfect father to my beautiful granddaughter, and you're the perfect partner for Stace, and I mean that sincerely, mate. I mean that sincerely. I don't really know what it'd be like to stand up here if I had any doubts in my mind or my heart that you're the only one for Stace. Yep. I did really good down there, didn't I? But I just want you to know you're welcomed into my family, and son, you're loved. Okay, without a doubt. Stace, my beautiful little baby girl, you've given me peace for the rest of my life, knowing that you'll be with a man that will always look after you, love you, and let you sleep in while he's doing the washing and the cooking. But you've also given me, apart from that, you've given me the immeasurable pleasure of being a granddad. To Sneezy. And I want Dopey and Grumpy, and yeah, I want a few more. But you're a wonderful daughter, you're a fantastic mother, and I've seen you, because you just are. We have the pleasure of seeing you every day. And you've given me a real special gift tonight, you've given me a son, so thank you very much. So to both of you, I'm wrapping it up. So to both of you, if I could impart some words of wisdom, I wish I could utter it and you'd live happily forever, but I'm not that smart. But there is something I'd like to share with you, and it's a lyrics from short lyrics from a Bruce Springsteen song. And no, Paul, I'm not going to sing it. And Stacey, it's not Born to Run. But they're the words of a simple man, like most of us, to his bride-to-be, before they get married. And I was going to say it goes something like this, but it goes exactly like this. We said we'd be together, baby, come what may, but come the twilight, should we lose our way? As if as if we're walking, a hand should slip free. I'll wait for you, and if I should fall behind, wait for me. We said we'd travel, darling. That's what it says here, darling, not darling. Side by side, we'd help each other stay in stride. But each other's steps fall so differently. But I'll wait for you, and if I should fall behind, wait for me. So maybe the wisdom that I can impart on you is that song, marriage is that simple and that complicated. Yeah, all right, I'm getting there. So in conclusion, I'd like everybody to stand up and raise your glasses. Stacey and Paul, may your journey be a glorious one. Stay in stride and wait for each other. May your marriage be the defining treasure of your life. You really did good at that. Okay, I hope, and may be blessed with all the joys that love that's shared between two people can bring. To Paul and Stacey.
I reckon that was pretty wonderful, Bob. Some great words. So, okay, now I need to pass it over to Paul. Right. Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for being here with us today, helping us celebrate. I am also, like Bob, just going to read this because with everything going on, I've really not had any time to rehearse this at all. So apologies that I'm going to be stuck to the paper. My speech is basically a load of sloppy thank yous. So I know we've come from a really heartfelt, amazing speech from Bob, so thanks, mate. Very similar tone. And I'll start with our parents, mine and Stacey's. I unfortunately can't thank you for every little thing that you've done for us in my speech, because it would literally run all night. But Mum, thank you for being the best mum I could ever ask for. Through the thick and thin, the ridiculous amounts of ups and downs, you've been there, and I know you always, always will be. Thank you for welcoming Stacey into the family. I know you'll be there for all of us anytime we want. You've been the one constant in my life, the person I can always turn to, and you've shaped me into the man I am today. So thank you. Thank you, Bob and Miles. You've raised a woman I am so deeply in love with. You've taken us in when we were basically moving state and homeless. And you're there for Stacey, Indy and I, no matter what. And you bought me a 75-inch TV in the living room. But thank you so much for welcoming me into your family with open arms, even though I'm a Pom and not an Indiana quarterback. To all my siblings, and Rebecca and Steffi can't be here today, but thank you for helping shape me into the bloke I am today. And Dave, I wouldn't be through any of this without you, mate. Any of it. So thanks, mate. Pybus. Sex, drugs and rock and roll aside. Wait, side by side. Anyway, my early 20s were the best. But that's because I met you. You're my rock bro, and before I hear your speech, I'll tell you this. I'm honoured for you to be my best man. So be nice. So thank you for all being here to celebrate with us today, especially those travelling afar, overseas, interstate. I know it's not easy to get away, and it's not bloody cheap either, so we really, really appreciate you guys coming from interstate and overseas, so thank you very much. Where the bloody hell am I? Thank you, Fee, for being our celebrant. You literally saved us. Last minute celebrant. And not only that, as you were really nervous and setting up to do it all for us today, because we know you so well and you've known us from the start, we came here and I forgot the bloody jack to go into the speaker. So I couldn't get the music to play through the PA for Stacey to walk down the aisle to. Of all the things to forget. And Fee reinstalled Spotify on his phone. Made sure it was premium, made sure he had all the music and everything so we could actually have music for the ceremony. So you literally saved the day twice, within about 30 minutes. Thank you very much. Thank you, Dunny, for being our MC. And getting me a job when we moved overseas. Moved over interstate, sorry. I've actually got a little something for you, so bear with me 2 seconds.
It's not from Rico, Danny.
Thank you very much. Fee, your gift is actually on the way to your address, so it's probably not going to be there before you get back though. It is there, on its way there. Zoe, where are you? Zoe. Look at the cake, everybody! That is the best cake I've ever seen! Me and Stacey just said to Zoe, me and Stacey said, can you please do that cake? And she did, and we said, this is kind of the colour scheme of the wedding, do what you want, artistic license is yours. And man, did she deliver. We just saw that. We saw that 5 minutes before we came in the room, before we all sat down. That was the first time we saw the cake, and we are absolutely over the moon. It is amazing. And thank you so much. So, thank you, Mark, Jackie, Casey, Tim, Slav. I can't wait to see the pictures, the video, dance later. It's been an amazing day, and you guys are making it amazing, and I can't wait to see all the pictures and footage and everything. So thank you very much for being amazing. Thanks so much. Thank you to the bridesmaids. Thank you for being by Stacey's side through her ups and downs, not only getting her to me today, but helping get her to this point in her life happy and whole. Despite Candice getting me into some troubling situations, and Meg and Stacey being in far too many bizarre selfies together, trying hats on in a camper van or whatever you were doing, that was all a bit weird.
What Arlington?
Yeah. Thank you, Amy. You're a wonderful big sister to Stacey. And now to me too. Especially thank you for warning off all the blokes that tried to approach Stacey when she was clubbing in her early 20s. For those of you who don't know, people are going to try and pick Stacey up, and then they go, oh wait, you Amy Parker's sister. And they go, see you later. Thank you, Amy, legend. You're reaping the rewards now. My beautiful Stacey. I've only known 2 couples that have what we have. And before we met, I really did resign myself for the fact that I would never have a love like this in my life. I was okay. Like, it's pretty shit, but it's alright. We're gonna go for it. But then we did finally meet. Should have hated each other on paper. we couldn't bear to be without each other for literally more than a few hours. And in 4 years, we've spent, I think, 5 nights apart. Thank you for being you. Thank you for picking me. You put me on the highest high while keeping me grounded, which I need now and again. Like when you weren't there on my stag do and I woke up outside Kmart at 3 a.m. You support me you support me no matter what. You not only let me be me, but you really do make me the best version of myself. You're the first thing I think about in the morning and the last thought in my head on a night. And I promise you, for the rest of your life, every single day I will make sure you know how much you mean to me. I promise.
You made me cry for
Hold it together, Nenny. We're nearly there.
Bloody hell, mate.
You mean so much to me. And I appreciate you and everything that you do. It makes my life complete. I love you. Loads. Lots. Glue glue. Now I'm about to give the phone to Pybus, the microphone. Oh, actually, he's really, really, really loud, so he's going to stand there and probably just go without. It's probably a good idea, because if he uses the microphone, Windows might break, I don't know. So, you might have trouble understanding his accent. If you are, just laugh when I laugh. However, we're not allowed to laugh at his first 2 jokes. But before I pass it over to him, once again, thank you so much for helping us celebrate today. We love all of you. That's why you're here. Most of all, I love these 4 ladies here. So please, be upstanding and raise your glasses to the beautiful bridesmaids and my stunning bride, Stacey. Cheers. Over to you, mate.
You'll be fine.
Alright, I've got 9 sheets of paper here. I can't cycle through them and use a microphone. Is that alright? Yeah. Okie dokie. Cool. Now this isn't actually written down, but if you can all just change tack a little bit, stop being so emotional and start laughing. Because that's not what I'm here to do. But good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, up, Pybus.
Hey up! Hey up, lass! As Paul's British best man, I thought it was important to bring some British traditions to this special day. For example, no British wedding meal is complete without the Yorkshire puddings you might have seen me bringing out earlier on. It's a British wedding tradition to make the groom squirm as much as possible during my speech. And it's also a British wedding tradition that the best man's speech should last precisely as long as the groom will on his wedding night. Well, that's him done. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for this. Now, as some of you will know, we all understand this palm stuff, yeah? I lost Paul for a few hours on his book's party. And I felt like I'd failed in my best man's duties. So today, I was determined to make everything perfect. So Paul arrived here today on time, dressed correctly, and sober. But the one big disappointment today was not fulfilling his last request as a single man, due to very strong protests from the Australian Sheep Welfare Council. And they're the first two jokes you're not allowed to laugh at. So, no, seriously. Hello. The first time Paul and I met was when he stole my job. Seriously. I was working in this big, busy, aggressive, drunken pub in England. And I've been tipped to management for months and months. I've been working really, really hard for it. And then I'd been going to work one day, and I poured a couple of pints, and this gorgeous bloke came up to me, and he goes, "Hi, I'm Paul. Are you Pybus?" So I said, "Aye." That means yes. And he says, "I've just been given the manager's job. But I wanted to talk to you first to make sure that it was all okay. Because I know that you're the guy that's been passed over for promotion." Now this was not okay. This is not okay. And had I have been more of a bogan, right? I'd have given him a slap. But who could hurt that pretty face? Now, I know this wasn't difficult, but this was really difficult for Paul, because socially in that pub at that time, I was the proper top dog. But I realised immediately that stood in front of me was a real man. He was a man of honour and respect. And he was brought up, Jeanette, with proper values. He's confident in himself, but he's always careful to consider other people's opinions. So we made a deal. Well, I made a deal. I wouldn't make things difficult for him, and in return, I could do whatever I wanted with no fear of being fired. Now what followed was the best year or two of my working life. And as you can imagine, with my new get out of jail free card, we got up to some proper mischief. I can remember very little of it because all of a sudden I was allowed to get wasted. You know? But I do remember vividly games of Think Fast. Yes. Where we'd throw things at each other and say, "Think fast." With 3-litre vodka bottles. I can remember a few times getting hit in the head. Some of them because of my poor reactions, and some of them because Paul's a really shit thrower. I can remember the stress test that we used to do on glass bottles to see which manufacturer was best. Which resulted in Paul slicing his hand open and a scar that he brings here today.
Really stupid test.
I remember spraying customers with the soda gun.
Awesome.
Proper Coyote Ugly style. And then, when they complain with me, I'd say, "Oh, no problem, no problem, no problem, no problem. I'll introduce him to my boss, no problem." And Paul would have them thrown out by the bouncers. We negotiated beer for pizza deals with a local takeaway. And of course, sorry feet, we always made sure our mates drank for free. Now Paul made sure we worked together so we could both enjoy each other's company and also deliver, as I'm sure you can imagine, the worst customer service imaginable. But it was in these early days, 13 years ago, that I learned 3 important lessons. Number 1, Paul is a man of his word. Mate, you really should have fired me. For 90% of the stuff we were doing. But seriously, number 2, this is 13 years ago, number 2, Paul was going to be a great dad someday. He was already looking forward to it when we were 19 years old. And number 3, no matter how good you are at your job, looks will always win. And all three of these things are still relevant to us all today. Firstly, Stacey, sat next to you today is a real man. He's a man of his word. He's got the honour of 10 men, and he will love you forever. Number 2, Paul will do anything for Indy, wherever she's just got to. And he loves every single minute of being a dad. It really was weird when we were 19, don't get me wrong, it was really weird. But not just being a dad, but a great dad was always one of Paul's life goals. And number 3, Rip Curl employees. Sat here before you today is a man that will happily steal your job. I suggest, when that happens, because you're useless because of the looks, I suggest crafting your own get out of jail free card and getting up to some proper mischief. Now, Rip Curl looks like a company of a social conscience. Just the other day, Paul was cleaning a beach for World Day. Yeah? But Paul hasn't always worked for a pub or for a company of a social conscience. He left pub work to work for a company that was, to be honest, morally bankrupt. And when that company inevitably folded, which I told him it would, he had to watch helplessly as the team that he'd nurtured was forced to accept redundancies. But then came a bombshell that shook my world. Mate, I'm taking the cash and then emigrating to Australia. I honestly felt sick. Not only did Paul owe me money, I did. Like 2 weeks before you left. But my best friend of almost a decade, the bloke that I bared my soul to so many times with an ashtray on his chest, the guy who I'd planned on getting old with, the best friend I could ever wish for, was leaving. Listen, I cried enough in Bob's speech, all right? It's got a happy ending, it's all right. No, I felt hurt, you know. I could understand his thinking, but I just couldn't bring myself to accept it. And I cried. I genuinely, proper cried. So I planned on putting something in his suitcase so he'd get arrested at the airport.
Mate, I still didn't know if you were joking.
I know. I was joking up until the day you left, and I smoked it myself. And I tried to convince him to stay by any means possible. You name it, emotional blackmail, all the rest of it. But it became clear that his mind was made up. So we had a massive pint of doob. And we promised to keep in touch no matter what. Now, he delayed his flight so that he could be the best man at my wedding. A little side note on that, Paul travelled a whole 80 miles. A whole 80 miles to be the best man.
Roads in the UK.
Yeah, it's half the country, isn't it? And he also joined us on the first part of our honeymoon. I know that's weird, but my wife Katie has always been okay sharing me with Paul. Stacey, we don't expect the same. So the time came to say goodbye. Now, I will spare you the soppy details because we're talking hysterics. Real crying. But anyways, I made him promise me three things, okay? Number one, never, ever, ever forget where you're from. Now, many of you here today will know Paul as a Pom. Cool, fair enough. But the reality is that everyone that's travelled from England today isn't English. We're Yorkshire. Right, lads?
Yeah.
Right? We're a proud people, and we are also a part of India's heritage. Now, it was Yorkshire that changed the world with the Industrial Revolution. It was Yorkshire that abolished slavery. It was Yorkshire that changed the world with the humble Yorkshire pudding on Sunday. Captain Cook, who I'm sure many of you might have heard of, set sail from Yorkshire with a Yorkshire crew. And it was also Yorkshire that gave Paul his values, his wit, and his stiff upper lip. Hey! Number two, the second promise. To take a miniature bottle of whiskey up to Bon Scott's grave in Fremantle. There's only three things that we hold dear in this life. Stacey, Yorkshire and AC/DC. But number three, the most important one, and this one, I have to say it, this one's really real. And I drilled this into him because I know what he's like. I said, Paul, whatever you do, mate, do not fall in love with the first Aussie girl that you meet. And this is really true. I said this. Do not do it. Do not do it. Travel around, have some fun. You know, I know what you like. No problem. Now, to be fair to Paul, there was a female immigration officer. And the airport taxi driver was also female. Sorry, Stacey, we're number three, but you get my point. Which brings us to why we're here today. To celebrate the loving union between two special friends. Stacey, you look stunning. Every day. This is essentially one time I can hit on you, so here you go. Now, today there are no words to adequately describe how gorgeous you look.
Yeah.
But here's some anyway. Beautiful, dazzling, glamorous, divine, resplendent, elegant, radiant, fit as. Or as I like to say in Yorkshire,
Daytime.
you don't have scrub up well, lads. Now, when Paul emigrated, there was a part of me that was worried, seriously, mate. There's a part of me that worried that we wouldn't keep in touch, but we did. And as you know, Stace, we Facebook message, we WhatsApp, we Skype, we call, we text, all that sort of stuff. And we do it every day, every week. And in all that time, I can honestly tell you, you've made him happy every single day. The love that you have for each other is so great, so deep, and immensely special. Thank you, Stacey, for loving him. Thank you for being his soulmate. And thank you for being the immigration lady in the taxi driver. Now, as best mates, Paul has always been able to bitch at me, that's the swear word, guys, you were waiting for, about anything and everything. And I really do mean this, and it really is hard to believe, and so I want to make sure that you know I mean it. In all of those chats in the last few years, never once, and I mean this, never once has he moaned about you. Seriously, he loves you so much. And I've never heard him complain about the life that you've created together. Seriously, I mean that, never once. But talking about creating life together, there's another beautiful little girl here today who is also very important. There you are. Now, even from a distance, it has been so wonderful to watch Indy grow up into the cute little lady that you see here today. And Indy, you make Mummy and Daddy very, very happy. Not to mention exhausted. You really look, and you look so gorgeous today in that dress. And with Geelong colours today as well. Miles and Bob, thank you for welcoming Paul into your home. You've also extended that amazing hospitality to Katie and I last week and this. And over the last couple of weeks, we've really learned about your life and your family. Now, Paul is, as you know, really terrible at hiding his emotions. It's hilarious. You can read him like a book. And it's really, really clear. You talk about the love that you have for him. And I'm here to tell you that he has so much love for you too. He really, really does. That's right. We can tell that at home you've wrapped Paul, Stacey and Indy in this unconditional love. Well, I say unconditional, as long as Paul doesn't rubbish for Colts, for Pacers or the Hoosiers. So, it is also a POM tradition that the best man tells a story to embarrass the groom in front of his new mother-in-law. So, I could tell you about the time that I left a nightclub only to find Paul semi-naked, hanging upside down by his feet from a road bridge whilst traffic was going in. Or I could tell you about the time that I found Paul on the beach in Ibiza, ecstatically chewing mints.
I was.
That's a true story.
I was, yeah.
All the time that he jumped from a second-story window and ran home through York with no shoes on. Yeah.
That guy.
That guy. All the time that he climbed a fence at the UK's biggest music festival, started a riot, and partied all night and left with not a scratch. Unbelievable.
Dean had 3 stitches in his eye.
Yeah. Or how Paul used to make rotas so that we could both go out to Ziggy's on a Tuesday night and get exceptionally messy.
Climb bridges.
All the time that Paul woke up on a bench in Kmart before rushing outside to vomit, whilst Uncle Hammy, here, legend, was out looking for you. However, due to time limitations, not the best of memories, and not wanting to upset Miles any further than I did by losing a son on his books party, these stories, and many, many, many more, will have to wait for a couple of hours until I'm really drunk. And I forget that I should know better. So, ladies and gentlemen, with no further ado, if you can all please be upstanding, raise a glass to this wonderful bride and groom, Stacey and Paul. Give them a round of applause.
Right. Grab your attention again. Thanks, Pipers. That was a brilliant speech. Pipers, Right, ladies and gentlemen, it's come time for cutting of the cake. So I invite